welcome to Mad About Business. I'm Maddie Alexander-Grout, and this is my solo podcast where I talk all about businessy things and stuff that is going on in my world. You're constantly seeing my dog coming in and out, and I apologise for that. But yeah, anyway, today the theme of this episode is collaboration over competition. So when you're in a scarcity mindset, often you will be quite terrified and probably get massive rejection sensitivity when you see somebody who is in the same niche as you, who is maybe doing better than you, and it almost gives you that sense of like, I'm worthless, I can't do this. Now, I used to feel like this. I actually was terrified of looking at people who were in similar industries to me. Because I was terrified that, like, if I looked at their content or I looked at the things that they were doing, they would think that I was copying them. Or if I looked at the things that they were doing and they were making loads more money than me, I would feel like I was somehow worthless and like really inadequate. And that's not how we should look at collaboration and competition. So before, I used to actively avoid competitors. I used to like really just not follow them, not go and look at them, not do anything. But really, we do have to look at our competitors because otherwise we don't know how we are positioning ourselves in the market. So there are so many things that kind of come up when you're looking at your competitors and you're seeing it from a scarcity mindset. Like, you'll probably think, oh, like, there's not enough room in the market for me. I can't do this business because somebody else is already doing it. Like, there are some really big people who give some really good examples of this. So, like, take Lisa Johnson, for example. Lisa Johnson gives a really good example of there being, like, on Brick Lane in London, like, ridiculous amounts of curry houses. And not a single one of them thinks, I can't do this business because there's another business doing the same thing in the same place. Instead, it's basically a really popular area in London where people know that they can go to get the thing that they want. So instead of having that mindset where you're in that scarcity, think about how you can work with your competitors. Think about how you can share audiences. Think about how you can do things together so that everybody grows. When you collaborate with people, like take my membership, for example, there are so many people in Invisible to Influential who do the same thing as me. And like, you know, I've got Lisa Danielle, who's a TikTok specialist. I've got who else have I got in there that's like, yeah, I mean, I've got a lot. Sandra Garlick. Sandra Garlick is a really good prime example. Like, she's also a visibility strategist. We're very different to each other. I mean, people will go to Sandra because she is like demure and she's very classy and she's really good at like helping people to win awards and things like that. Whereas people who like prefer the nitty gritty, like sweary stuff probably will come to me. But Sandra's in my membership. We support each other. I help her to promote her awards. Like, I enter her awards. Sandra is an active person in my community. There are so many pluses to working with people who do the same thing as you. You can kind of work out what your unique selling points are because we're all different. You know, we are all very, very different as people. And, you know, if we want to go big in business, like bravery, impact, growth, that's the thing that I talk about all the time, is going big in business. We have to sometimes overcome these limiting beliefs that working with competitors is a bad thing. You're always going to get competitors who actually maybe you don't want to work with because they don't align with your values. However, if you can find people in your space that you can work with, it really helps you to grow. So, for example, like, let's look at the ADHD industry as a whole. So, like, there are some really big players in the ADHD industry. Like, take a look at like Leanne Maskell. Leanne Maskell is an ADHD coach, and she also runs a coaching academy to help people to train to be ADHD coaches. I don't do the same thing as her, but I 100% have the same audience as her. And, you know, I really respect what she does in business. She's really big on LinkedIn, and I always interact and engage with her content. And because I interact and engage with her content, she knows me as a person. Like, I went to her book launch, and when I was at her book launch, like, she actively pointed me out to people and was like, "Oh, hey, there's Sickfluencer Maddie," because it was when I was going through like all of my Sickfluencer thing, which if you haven't heard about that before, it's basically like where the press decided to come at me because I help people who are disabled to get the money and the funding that they're entitled to in their business. But what that actually meant was that, like, me and Leanne made a connection with each other, and she endorsed my book. So on the back of Mad About Money, you'll find a little sentence from Leanne Maskell. Let's take Holly Matthews again as another example. Holly is very much in the wellbeing space, but she's also in the ADHD space, and she helps business owners to be their weird, authentic selves, exactly the same as what I do. However, we do it in a very, very different way, in a different kind of environment. And, again, Holly also endorsed my book. So when you make these connections with people in your industry, like especially people who are bigger than you, who have bigger followers than you, we shouldn't be looking at them as competition. We should be looking at them as people who inspire us, people who, like, we want to grow to be like. We don't want to be those people. We want to grow so that we can emulate their success. So the scarcity mindset is the thing that really pops up here. And if you are looking at your competitors in a way of like being scared of what they do, like thinking they're copying you, like there's no real idea that is original. Like, we all do similar things to other people, but we just do it in our own unique way. So there will be people who will want to work with me on their business strategy. There'll be people who want to work with another business strategist. But it is all about like the values and the ethics and the morals and the things that you go out there into the world with that make people resonate with you. So don't see competitors as bad things. Look at ways that you can share your audience with people. Now, there are some red flags here. There are definitely red flags when you think about audience sharing. There are going to be some people who just want to get access to your audience and not actually give you anything reciprocal. They want, they just want to take your audience, use it, abuse it, and, potentially run off with your clients. And that has happened to me before. We do still need to make sure that we're protecting ourselves, and we're working with the people who we trust and we know, and that, we know are going to also return the favours. So, there are lots of people in this world who are not particularly ethical and not particularly nice people. But, they are still out there. They're still, they're still potential competitors. You don't need to work with the people that you don't like and you don't enjoy working with. That's not what I'm saying here. But there will be people in your industry that you can lean on. You can do joint podcasts, joint lives. You can potentially even launch things like programs together or joint strategy days. Or, if you're an ADHD parenting specialist, for example, there are lots of different methods of ADHD parenting. So you can work with people in those worlds to help you to grow your business. Things like bundles and summits and speaking at events. When I had Visible Fest, I had the lovely, amazing, awesome Elizabeth Carly Leonard. Elizabeth is a social media coach. Like, again, she does elements of the things that I do. People will resonate with her. People will resonate with me. I still wanted her on my stage because she's an incredible speaker and she's also a fucking wonderful person. But it's all about how you are perceived. And if you're somebody who is anti-competitors and you don't want to collaborate, you don't want to be a collaborative person, that's okay. You don't have to. But when you collaborate and you work with other people, you have the opportunity to go bigger. So put yourself out there, find out who's in your niche, see who you can work with to help to elevate you. Get on podcasts, put your name forward for speaking events. Like, there are so many people in this world. The business audience that is out there is in the millions. There are plenty of people to go round. So work with your competitors, collaboration over competition mindset, and I promise you that you will start to grow your business. If you've enjoyed this episode, give me a follow, Maddie Alexander-Grout, on LinkedIn and Facebook, Maddie Talks Money on Instagram, Mad About Money Official on TikTok. I will see you next time. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button.